Welcome, welcome. I'd like to go ahead and begin our practice today by inviting the chime to sing. This is a mindful way of just arriving fully to this beautiful practice and to arrive in a spirit of honoring where you are today. Whether you're in a celebratory mood, whether you are struggling a bit today, just taking a moment to allow yourself to be exactly as you are. Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators of this beautiful, beautiful community. And I am going to be facilitating our practice today. And for the month of July in the Spokane Sangha, I have created a theme called What's All That Noise? And this is based on a workshop that I have taught over the years, and it's a way of approaching the mind and looking at the noise, the clatter, the chatter, but to make sure we look at the mind and all of its storytelling and thought noise with a spirit of gentility, a spirit of awareness, so that we don't make an enemy of this bouncy mind. Because the mind is just noisy. That's just what it is at times. And we can train it to calm down and to create a little bit of space. But we do so in this particular practice by way of compassion and understanding. And so the theme that I have created for our month-long practice is looking at these stories, the archetypes, the inner critics that tell these stories in our mind, that create these voices in there, by looking at our childhood and adolescence, our adulthood, and sort of getting forward in the future and our elder years. Like, where did these thoughts form in our youth and adolescence? And how are we carrying them with us and creating whole narratives and stories and scripts? And how do those stories and script dictate our actions? So that's our efforting this month. And we're going to do so in a very gentle and lighthearted way. Today I'd like to establish an intention for our practice, and this is a little painted piece that I made, and this sentiment of metta written on the back reads, "May you learn to see with your eyes closed. May you learn to see with your eyes closed." So let's do that. Let's close our eyes for a moment, provided it's comfortable for you. Not everybody feels at ease with their eyes closed. And maybe if that's you today and you don't feel at ease, maybe you can just turn your gaze downward. And this is just a way of inviting conscious attention to minimize distraction. So we can go inward. We can start to explore that inner landscape. The inner landscape that is fertile ground for our young selves. Because today we're going to bring forward our youth, our childhood, and maybe bring forward some memories that created stories that we've been carrying. And this is an invitation in a way of metta, loving kindness, where we're not going to bring forward the most wounded memory, the most difficult memory, but something a little bit lighthearted, something a little bit easier to hold. Today, I've actually brought forward a couple of props because I want you to see some memories that I have that I carry around with me. I've carried them for forever, since my youth. So I have here from the 1970s, this old box. And in this old box, and this thing has moved, I don't even know how many times. But inside are all these records, these little tiny 45 records. And I even have the little plastic doohickey that allows me to play this on my record player. Now, I used to love to play these records. I had a plastic record player as a kid that used this doohickey thing. And as a kid, an elementary school kid, I loved to sing, loved it. And I was quite theatrical. But when I was in the 5th grade, I was in a play, and I played a geisha girl. And my mother made me the most beautiful costume. And I had a solo. And the solo was I would kind of come center stage and I would upstage the other geisha girls. And I would sing this little solo because I could hit this high soprano note. Well, as a kid, I didn't realize that I took the singing very seriously, by the way. And I took my singing very seriously. And I didn't realize that the whole action of upstaging these other characters was comedic. And so when I sang and did this performance in front of the audience, everyone laughed. And I thought they were laughing at me. And I never sang again. I put those records away. I put my record player away, and I never sang again. Deep story, deep wound, deep misunderstanding. And over the years, I've carried these records with me because they act as a reminder of, wow, how those stories work, how they live in me. And I kept wanting to heal that part of me, and I didn't know how, because so much of that narrative that I don't know how to sing, I can't sing, it was based on a complete misunderstanding. And so I spent years trying to figure that out and to offer myself grace. In high school, I wanted to join the chorus, but I was too scared to be laughed at. I was too fearful of being humiliated. Core wound, deep wound. And it took decades and decades for me to find that voice and to finally see what that experience was really like, and to come into that little 5th grader Julia, and as an adult be able to sweep her up in my arms and say, wow, Julia, that's so sad that that's how you experienced that. And that was real and painful. And you just did the best you could. And then sometime in my 40s, I found my voice and sang again in community. But it took that long. So, this is an opportunity. I kept those records as mementos of that time, as a reminder that it takes time, as awareness that things are not always clear. I didn't have the skill set as a 5th grader to heal that until much later in my life. And I turned my maturing self back toward that young me, and I held her, and I encouraged her, and she healed, and she found a voice. Amazing. I have another memento that I want to show you, and this is an eyeliner. And I keep this one as a reminder of something very negative because I stole this from the Medimart in Framingham, Massachusetts in the 8th grade. And I will never, ever forget that. So this eyeliner represents scarcity for me and stories of not having enough. And because I was governed by not having enough and not having the things that my peers had, I completely compromised my integrity, my own inner wisdom, knowing that it's wrong to steal, knowing that it's wrong to take what isn't mine. And I did it anyway, to fit in, to be like everyone else. And so I keep this eyeliner as a reminder not to steal. And not only not to steal, but not to steal my own inner wisdom, not to allow these stories of scarcity to steal my good heart, to steal my clarity. But then again, I didn't know that when I was 12. What did I know? I just knew something was wrong. So I have physical things from my youth that I keep as tokens. One is a token that encouraged me to remember a negative experience, but it kept something positive going, like I'll find my way back to my voice. Another is a token that reminded me of a misdeed, an unskillful action to keep me on the course of integrity, to remind myself that the feeling of stealing, the fear, the panic, also the thrill of getting away with something, in the end was not a good feeling. I'd compromised something much, much deeper. And so I keep that token as a reminder not to go there again, not to do that again, to, when those scarcity feelings arise, to address them with more options, wiser choices. In the spaciousness of the silence to come, allow yourself a very gentle and tender journey to places in your youth where you needed guidance that you didn't have for whatever reason. And see if you can explore the conditions of that time and allow yourself to be the guide you didn't have, be the parent you didn't have, be the friend you didn't have. You're all those things to yourself. Yesterday, I was in the gift shop at the hospital where my daughter had surgery, and I bought this book. It's called Why Not? And I'd like to just have you step over the threshold of your inner landscape as you do this exploration with this wisdom. You were born for wonder and awe. You are here to marvel at the beauty of this world and to experience the joy of being alive. We're We're going to make mistakes. We're going to create false stories that will carry with us for decades. We're going to experience scarcity and greed. And we're going to wander off the path because of it. It's okay. There is a wise one within you, calling you back to your true whole self. Listen. What is their wisdom? What is your wisdom of love and joy? Friends, the seeds and stories of our past root and rise, dictating our actions in the present. When we look deeply, gently, lovingly, and compassionately to our past selves, we do bring heart and healing, which amends the soil, amends the landscape, so that our present moment actions and future actions are based on wisdom, illumination, curiosity, healing. It takes courage to look in this way. You were made for this. The wellspring of resilience is limitless. May you tap into it with ease. Alrighty, friends. I think that ends our practice today, and I'd like to end with a dedication of merit. And I'd like you to bring your body to a noble posture. And today is Independence Day, day of freedom in the United States. It represents a couple of centuries ago where colonies were breaking free of monarch rule to live and practice in their own way. The United States of America is built on that principle of freedom to travel your own path, to trust in your own agency to do that. There is an enormous independent and individualistic spirit in Americans that is worthy of celebration and praise. As we fold that idea into a journey of recovery as it relates to Buddhism, we call to mind the limitless qualities of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. This is the capacity to understand the light as bright as a firework, and our shadow, the darkness that adds the conditions for luminescence. Together, they make us whole. And when we come into this understanding, we begin to experience a little bit more freedom away from habit energy that served to keep us safe, keep us sedated and numb and soothed. And now we're in a place of experiencing and traveling wisdom with strength and courage, resilience and clarity, with the limitless qualities sheltering us, kindness to ourselves, compassion, joy, and being able to have space to see ourselves clearly. We will take our next steps in freedom. Thank you for your beautiful practice. Thank you for finding refuge in this extraordinary collective consciousness of soul. We'll see you next time. Namaste.